NRL Fantasy Round 21 was the first round in a long time where we came in not having to deal with origin games, multiple buys, or significant injuries. And I'll tell you what, it was prime for big scores, and it did not disappoint. A lot of coaches got 1,000 plus. Me, I didn't go that far past 1,000. I was hoping for a bit more, but I saw a lot of you guys have cranked even 1,100. So, hey, a lot of big scores to go around and a lot to be happy about in this week's recap around the grounds. So first up, Warriors and the Tigers, and the week started with a bang. Very popular option, Adam Fanua-Blake. Grabbed a try in this game, 67 points. He was a force in this one. 62 minutes is absolutely fine with me as well. Api Coruscant came through, came back from injury, 67 points. Played a bit of half in this game as well. Obviously, Talon De Silva came on. They have no Aiden Caesar right now. So that helped his score a little bit, I guess. I mean, he was involved across the board. Tackle count was 32, so that's a bit lower than usual, but the 5 tackle busts and a bunch of attacking stats definitely helped. Isaiah Papali'i came back to the game and scored 62 points, grabbed a try in this one. We had Watene Zelezniak head back to form here with a 59. Barnett only 53 points in 59 minutes. We've talked about it. I think he's a bit overpriced for what he is, and he sort of proved it here. Just not going to get the minutes that you need for 860k and the highest price in fantasy. Saying that, Dylan Walker came out, pumped out a big score. Had a bit of an injury scare in this one, but I haven't heard any news about it, so let's just keep an eye on that one. 52 points in big minutes as well. RTS playing fullback. We love him playing fullback. The issue is he won't stay at fullback, so you can't overreact to this one, but if you ever got the fullback long term, I'd be all over him. Ali Leatoa, we know he's got some talent and 331k. A few of you guys jumped on him as a cash out. 48 points was a great score from him. Let's see, going down the list here, Harris Tavita with the 44 is nice. Porter, if you hold with him, 44. Galvin, 43 points, went off early. Now, there is a bit of talk that he might have an ankle injury. Just keep an eye out for that Galvin news as well. You might be selling Galvin this week is the negative forecast I have for you. And then going down the bottom of the list here, let's see, Latu Fainu went pretty well in limited minutes. Samuel Fainu, 27 points. We don't love that. Talon De Silva, 27 points in 37 minutes. I can live with that, and he's a prospect that I'll be looking at in the future. And then down the bottom of the list, nothing too crazy to report on down here. So let's go into the next game. We'll jump into the Eels and the Storm. And my Parramatta Eels, they were up in this game, and then the Storm brought Munster on, and it just sort of turned it on. So the Storm are a premiership threat, and they definitely showed it in this game. Bryce Cartwright played 80 minutes, scored 70 points. Not a lot of attacking stats in this one either for him, so that's a big score. A lot of offloads for him. Warbrick came through, 70 points. Wingers tend to score pretty well against Parramatta, and he definitely turned that one up. Pappenhausen with 63, showing that he can get it done, but the injury challenges are still there, and there's talk about that foot that he can't possibly put weight on without injections, all that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be jumping on him as a fantasy option, but at the same time, he's such a stud, and I love watching him play. Sean Lane, 62. We got Madison, pretty popular option there for 57. Good score for him. 59 minutes, but he played lock, so he's about a PPM guy in the lock spot. Jerome Hughes with a 55. We can live with that. Not too many major attacking stats. Harry Grant, 53. I will call out, though, it's 53 with a try, which, again, he's being left behind a bit by some of these other hooker options. This week wasn't great for hooker. Starling was one of the better hookers, actually, but Harry Grant's scores, I don't know, they just haven't been the same as previous years, and he's definitely not that number one hooker option that we have grown used to. Going down the list here, we got Wishart, scored 52 points in 70 minutes. Dylan Brown grabbed about a 50. Eli Katoa with a 46, had 2 try assists. Again, I'm not super convinced in the base stats there. Jack Howarth turned it up with 44 points. You love that if you got on him. Sean Bloor, 41 points. 70 minutes, my challenge there. I'm really excited about him with Munster back, but he needs to get the 80 minutes. The PPM isn't strong enough for him to be getting 65 to 70 minutes and still be a guy that we're starting in our 17. And then down the bottom of the list here, let's see, Penasini with a 37. Who else we got? Who else are we looking at? RCG. He had some pretty good scores recently and just pumped out a 23 in this one, so not great. Blaze Talangi, 20 points. And then down the bottom, Suafea Longo, 1 point in 10 minutes. If you started him, I don't know what to tell you. That's not great. All right, Broncos and the Bulldogs up next. So Broncos came through this game playing for their season, and I'll tell you what, you couldn't tell based on the fact that the Dogs were just on fire in this one. They were getting whatever they wanted, and I'll tell you what, the Dogs, what a story, hey. No one had them tipped for the top 8, and they're surging. They're looking like a top 4 side right now, which I'm happy to see it, right? I like to see those bottom they were a bottom team a couple of years ago. They sort of rose up a bit last year, and they've really shot up this year. So I love seeing that comeback, that rebuild really working. I think Gus Gould's an absolute legend. But Connor Tracy, he's the top scorer here. He was number 2 scorer in fantasy this week with 88 points. You got 3 tries, 3 try assists, bunch of tackle breaks. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? He couldn't be tackled this week. Jacob Carraz pumped out a big score. A lot of you guys have Carraz, and I love it. I'm so jealous, actually, as a non-Carraz owner. But that 72 points is massive. With the try, he's still looking really solid, about that 50 average from him. Doesn't really matter if he plays center or wing. The average seems to be about the same. And the doggies are playing well, and so is he. Going down the list here, Payne Haas with 70 points in 71 minutes. I'm good with this, right? So the 71 minutes is very encouraging. The Broncos are really fighting for that final spot, and they need to start winning some games. Otherwise, I'm going to be a bit worried that he might get a rest. I've got to say, though, they need him to be playing the way he's playing for them to be a shot at making the finals. So the Broncos do have some matches they can win coming up. They have a tough one against the Storm, I believe, in round 27, but I think there are some much more winnable games before that. So I look at their run home, and I think Payne Haas is still going to get a lot of running in this stretch. Going down the list here, Preston with a 65 is big. Carrigan 62, bounced back to form after a tough one last week. Tapau, Staggs, Skelton, Hetherington, Sexton, all these guys going well. Jensen kept a good score, even with the guys back. Then Matty Burton, 44. You were hoping for a bit more with the win they had. Reece Walsh scored a 40. He had a try in this game, a line break try. He had 7 tackle breaks. So you're probably hoping for a bit more because he was on about 30 points after 20 minutes. And then nothing else really happened after that. So tough one again. Look, he's a fullback in a team that was getting beaten. So I don't really hold it against him. But the Broncos need to start playing some better footy for him to be scoring better. Then we got Reed Marnie, not the best score, so 35 points. He's a tackle machine, right? So and they had all the ball. So the tackles weren't there. So it's 35 points, 27 tackles, 2 try assists. It's a bit of a dodgy one, right? Like he's just not going to make his 50 tackles when they have all the ball. Curran, a bit of an ankle issue. I've heard he could be back next week. If not, it's going to be the week after. So if you bought him, you hold him, but you're not super happy about it. I'm going down the list here. What else we got? We've got, let's see, Xavier Wilson, Moser. I like Moser a lot. When he gets the minutes next year, hopefully, he's going to be a guy we look at. Adam Reynolds is interesting. So if you go down here, we can see his break even was 78 points. He scored 25. So he's going to drop about 50K, which means he's going to be down at about 580, 570K with another high break even. They have a buy coming up pretty soon. He's going to be very cheap when no one has any trades left. So it's not going to be really worthwhile. But for next year, I'm going to be eyeing him off because if his average stays around the 40 mark, he's historically about a 50 average. He could be value to start next year. Going down the list here, Cobbo, 17, not ideal if you have him. Mariner, 12 points. Oates, Hotboy, yeah, look, you're not starting too many of those guys. So we'll move on. All right, Cowboys and the Sharkies next, and this was a pretty juicy game. So this is always a pretty interesting game, and they've had some history with some big finals games before, some very controversial games as well. For the Cowboys here, Kyle Felt grabbed a hat trick, 4 line breaks, 61 points. I do not recommend buying him as much as he's an absolute legend. That 2015 grand final try was awesome. He's probably not going to score 3 tries every week. Trindle kept the roll going. So had a try assist and a try in this game, scored 57 points. Now, it's not the most convincing 57 points. And the thing I want to point out here is when we're looking at Trindle, if 57 with the try and the try assist is a bit lower than what you'd expect from premium half. So 500K, absolutely. And we talk about him being about a 50 average when he plays without Hines. Awesome. But don't misconstrue the recent form for him being a 60 or 65 average kind of guy, right? So DCE, for example, we're going to look at in a bit. He scored 78 points with a long-range try. And I think a try assist as well. So when you're looking at those premium halves, if they have a game like this where they get those big attacking stats, they usually crack 60, 70, 80 points. So Trindle still has a few of those lower games in him. I wouldn't prioritize him over some of the other half options we look at, like Cleary, Fogarty in particular. But at the same time, at the price he's at, he's doing a job. He's absolutely doing a job. Mario Talangi came back with 55 points. Wilton, 54 points. Actually very cheap as well. So if you were desperate at a cheap price, I don't hate him as like a 45 to 50 average, similar to Trindle. Valentine Holmes, 54 points. Pretty interesting option there, actually. He could be a bit of a pod if you needed a center. Kale Iro, 47 points. We can live with that. Scotty Drinkwater grabbed a 46. And then Robbo, 44. Only 30 tackles. Again, not a lot of tackles on offer in this game. Cam McInnes, only 49 minutes, scored 42 points. Dan Atkinson grabbed a try, saved his score, scored 41 in this one. And then I'll just skip past Harrison Edwards there as well. Keeping on rolling through here. Nakora, 32 points. Less than ideal, 35 tackles. Just didn't have the attacking stats. We know that with Nakora. He's sort of 30 points plus attacking plays. And then Ruben Cotter, I will call this one out. He did cop a HIA in this game. So for Cotter, hearing there could be some sort of fracture on the face. I don't want to speculate too much, but we're going to have to keep an eye out for scans. I'll keep you guys posted on this one. If there is some sort of facial fracture, they have a bye coming up as well. He's probably a sell option for your team. But if it's only a 1 week out and he's back, after next week, for example, then that you could maybe make the case that you hold on to him. I'd probably be leaning towards sell him if you have enough trades. So it's going to depend on how many trades you have. If you got one trade left, you definitely hold on to him. Going through the next game here, and this was a bit of a cracker as well. So this one felt like the Roosters had it won, and then Manly just sort of went, you know what, we're still in this game. Don't count us out. DC was a big part of that. So 78 points here. We talk about DC a lot, and DC actually ranks quite lowly in terms of consistency score for our fantasy metrics, but he's very high in the upside capability. So with DC, you've got a guy who can go 70 plus 3 or 4 weeks in a row when he goes on one of those hot runs. And that's why he averages 60 plus most seasons. Now, this year it's more like a 55 average. Luke Brooks comes in, but he's priced at that now. So you could look at him as a pod. I'm not going to be doing it, but I've seen a lot of coaches do it, and I do like it a lot. James Tedesco came through. Now, 30 points in 10 minutes, and then another 30 points in the remaining 70 minutes. I was hoping this would be a bigger score. I got to be honest, the Roosters kind of took the foot off the pedal in this one. The try and 2 try assists all came in the first 10 minutes. And then really no more fantasy points that came through for us here. Sammy Walker scored 54. We got Butcher with 53. Got a lot of minutes there, 52 minutes for Butcher, which is surprising considering a lot of the other guys who we expect to get more minutes didn't get those minutes as well. We've got a lot of Roosters here. So Suoli, Tupou, Collins, Radley all went well. Radley with the try. Sipley scored a dummy half try. And if you're a Sipley owner, I'll tell you what, it's the gift that keeps on giving here. Because him picking it up from dummy half and just barging over between 2 props, by the way. So he wasn't just running at halfbacks. He was running at props. 42 points. You can live with that. Dom Young grabbed a try, scored 42. Going down the list here, Connor Watson. I'll talk about him. There was a bit of a sore-looking hand at one point. He came off after that. I haven't heard any news yet about the hand, so there might be a bit of an issue with his hand. Or alternatively, it could just be Trent Robinson rotating the minutes like we know he does. The thing here that sort of perplexes me is Watson got about the same minutes as Nat Butcher. Nat Butcher played all through the middle. So I'd be surprised if that was their strategy going forward, because the minutes that I think it looked like Nat Butcher played lock when Connor Watson wasn't there, and Connor Watson went to hooker for a bit as well. So I don't know, it's a bit of a dicey one. I will be hoping that he gets more minutes as we go forward, especially off Brandon Smith at hooker. I think that's more his high scoring position. Going to the list here, let's see, Terrell May, 32 minutes, 39 points. The PPM's great, but the minutes just weren't there. Gussie Crichton, 38 points, not ideal. And then down the bottom of the list here, Tommy Turbo, 31. I'll talk about him because he's one I've been saying steer clear of. And this is sort of a reflection of that. So Turbo is one of the best players in the rugby league, right? But for fantasy, he doesn't get the points unless he has a massive attacking game. So for Turbo, 31 points here. It's just what you're going to see unless he has one of those Dally M level games. And he has those Dally M level games all the time. But I'd rather get a guy like Ponga who can play neither here or there and still score you 50 points. And that's why his average is quite a bit higher than Turbo's historically. I'm going down the list here. Let's see, Talau, 28. Brandon Smith, 53 minutes, 24 points. Jake Simpkin only played 26 minutes in this one, scored 16 points, not ideal. Ruben Garrick, another one I want to talk about here. So copped a HIA, his third one of the year, which is a bit worrying, but he came off talking about the fact that he didn't seem to feel too many symptoms out of it. So I think he should be okay after their bye. They have a bye next week anyway. And I think he'll be back after that one pretty fit and ready to go. Ruben Garrick is one that he's had a bit of bad luck this year, but scoring's been good when he's played. I will say that. All right, Dragons and the Panthers class above in this game, man. They have everyone back, and they just showed, here we are. We're coming for a 4th straight premiership. And the rest of the league is just going, all right, fair enough. You've earned it. So Nathan Cleary in this one first. I'm not gonna click on him because I want to show you the stats here. You got 3 tries, 7 goals, 2 try assists, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, 15 tackles with 3 misses. You got 5 tackle breaks, 1 offload, 2 errors. You got 242 run meters and only 232 kick meters. Now, down the list here, Luai only had 84 kick meters. So there really weren't many kick meters on offer in this game for this team. So not anything to worry about there. But with Nathan Cleary, that was just an all-time performance. So the 3 tries, 2 try assists, 112 points. If you had him as captain, you're very happy. If you bought him in, you're definitely happy. We said it last week. He's at a bargain. We said he's a bargain. You have to go get him. My advice was go buy him and captain him. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I got cute with it, and I went, you know what? I'm not going to captain him. I'm going to do something different. So I bought him, didn't captain him. It cost me a few points. I went Payne Haas instead. I was really excited about the Dogs matchup. Just didn't get the attacking stats going my way. It happens sometimes. Going down the list here, Isaiah Yeo, 80 minutes, 70 points. I'm surprised he played 80 minutes in this game, actually, because they were stomping the Dragons. I guess that maybe had something to do with Fisher Harris, who was knocked out of this game pretty early. Scotty Sorensen as well, 68 points. We can live with that. So the try and the try saver. As a Sorensen owner, I'm pretty stoked with that score, and he's a guy I can rely on going forward. Then we go through Martin Little's been solid this year. You could talk about him. Hame Sele, bigger minutes than you'd expect, especially considering Jack DeBellin didn't get many minutes at all. Then let's see, Lindsay Smith, Couchman. Luai had a good game as well. So Luai had a big one. He historically hasn't been great next to Cleary, and he's sort of showing that he can do a lot more in this team right now. I'm very excited about him for fantasy next year when he plays on the Tigers, because he's going to take a big role on that team. Jaden Sewer, 46 points, grabbed the try, saved his score. Ben Hunt with a 45. We've got Luciano coming through, playing off the bench, so not ideal for him. And then Zach Lomax grabbed a 41, had a few attacking plays in this one. Brian Turr, no attacking stats at all, and scored 40. He can live with that. That's why he's one of the top 3 wing fullbacks in my mind. Then down the list here, Jack DeBellin, 42 minutes, 35 points. Very disappointing. You probably want to sell him if you have him. Same with Tommy Eisenhuth, 30 points in 36 minutes, not ideal. Casey McLean in this one. So he had the try with a line break and a tackle break very early in this game. And he was on about 20 points after about 15 minutes. And then he just sort of sat at that score for quite a while. So didn't have to do too much. Had a little bit of an ankle concern at 1.2. I'm not super convinced, but we'll keep an eye on him. Isaac Tungo, 29 points as well. No real attacking involvement in this one. It was all Cleary sort of running this. So him having 3 tries, just running it through, meant that these centers didn't get a lot of quality ball. And then down the list here, Leota. Fisher Harris, I'll call out here. So 3rd minute, he copped a bit of an issue. I think it was a groin sort of issue. So that might keep him out for a few weeks. They'll definitely be careful with him. And it could mean some more minutes for guys like Liam Henry in there as well. So Dolphins and the Titans next. And Mo Fotuaika, he was a top 5 scorer this week. So Fotuaika had about 200 meters run. He had about 35 tackles. I think he had about 5 tackle breaks, maybe 7 tackle breaks. So this was just a all-round forwards performance where he just bulldozed through. And I'll tell you what, I was sort of watching for him to do this originally when Jolliffe got hurt, but he sort of left the run too late now because you can't be buying a guy for $560K at this time of the year. And Jolliffe is back next week or the week after as well. So I wouldn't be hopping on Mo Fotuaika, but it's good for him. Yeah, 37 tackles, 8 tackle breaks. There we go. So good for him. Good score. Dave Fafita, 67 points, had the line break, but didn't have heaps of attacking plays in this one. We're sort of waiting for that big pop game from Fafita. That's really what I'm feeling like right now. And we're waiting for that huge game where he has those big attacking stats, a couple of tries, for example, to go with the work rate that he's been presenting. Max Plath came through. So Plathy boy had a line break, 52 tackles, 3 tackle breaks, 63 meters run. Played a bit of lock in this game as well. Back to form. Tell you what, 80 minutes. You can live with that. Jaden Campbell, the consistency he's found is absolutely insane to me because he's a half on a team that isn't doing super, super well. I mean, they won this game, right? But they're sort of a bit up and down, and he just does not score lowly at all. So 3 try assists in this one. You had 22 tackles. He had a few misses, a few kick meters, a few runs. He just sort of does enough across the board to get consistent scores pretty much every week. Cam Pereira, try scoring performance. We've got 4 and Katoa Verrills going down the list here. Keeney with a 50. Keeney just keeps on getting it done. Herbie Farmworth, nice 47 with no real attacking stats in this one. Bo Firma, 46. We talked about him. I think he's a little bit overhyped. He's got the center spot, but he scores like a wing fullback or more like a center in terms of his scoring profile. Although in this game, he got plenty of tackles. And then Chris Randall with a 45. Very solid, very safe. And then down the list here, Felice Kafusi played 80 minutes. We talked about him a bit previously. Who else we got? Who's interesting down here? I mean, no one really. I mean, Sean O'Sullivan, if he ever gets a spot somewhere else, that average this year is 17.8 points. And he's a guy who can average 50. So we'll look at him next year. And if he moves clubs, goes somewhere else, gets a job, he's a guy who'll be starting with 100% next year. He's a bit of a weapon. And then we got the Raiders and the Bunnies, last game of the round. So rolling through this game, Hudson Young, he was the top scorer last week. He pumped out a big score again. And the interesting thing about this is you've got the try assist and the line break, but no tries. You've got 36 tackles, 10 tackle breaks, and you've got 207 run meters with 3 offloads. So he's just doing this without crazy upside plays, right? So that one play where he made the line break and set up the try, that was a pretty high upside play. But without the tries there to get 80 plus is pretty massive. Fogarty scored a 76. Again, super reliable. I'll go across, 600 kick meters, right? Absolutely massive from him. We got Kalamatangi with a 74 down the list here. Jack Whiten, 59 points. Only had the try assist in terms of attacking stats. 465 kick meters is big for Jack Whiten. And we saw Cody Walker go off in this game. So, tell you what, some more kick meters could be coming Jack Whiten's way. Tommy Starling scored 55 in 71 minutes. Got a bit of a rest at the end, but that score is massive. Tarpanay 54. Duncan grabbed the try and scored 54, played 80 minutes. Jai Gray bumped up to a 52. That's awesome to see. And again, look, try saver, no major attacking stats, 250 run meters. So I'm really liking that score from Jai Gray. If you added a try or two, something like that, then that score would have really boosted up as well. Jordan Rapana, let's see, Damien Cook played all over the field in this game, and you'll see the run meters there, 92 run meters to go with 6 tackle breaks. 45 points. You can live with that, considering he moved to the back line for a bit. Cody Walker grabbed the try, and then Ethan Strange with a 40, Smithies 39, KO Weeks with a 36, no attacking stats. 36 with no attacking stats, I can live with. Honestly, as a KO Weeks owner, I'm fine with that. If you can score like that going forward, and you have those pop games where he has the big attacking plays, then that is okay. And then down the bottom of the list here, let's see, Xavier Savage, 23 with a try. Not ideal, but the try is nice. Mamazelis scored 64 minutes, scored 15 points. So that's 31 tackles, 8 missed tackles, an error, and really no run meters either. So not a flattering fantasy score for him. And then Tomoko is one that I've really got my eye on, but I'll tell you what, the stats just haven't come this year. So a lot of negative points there, the 10 points. He'll drop in cash even more as well. Anyway, that is our recap around the grounds. So I'll tell you what, this week you'd be looking at guys like Galvin, Cotter, eyeing off, if you have James Fisher-Harris as well, those types of players. Have a look at them and then look at targeting a trade. The guy I'm targeting this week is Kalen Ponga, but we'll have more of a talk about who we're looking at this week on the next video, guys. Best of luck. I'll see you